Okay, chapter 15. After these things the word of the Lord came unto Abram in a vision, saying, Fear not, Abram, I am thy shield, and thy exceeding great reward. And Abram said, Lord God, what wilt thou give me, seeing I go childless, and the steward of my house is this Eliezer of Damascus? And Abram said, Behold, to me thou hast given no seed, and lo, one born in my house is mine heir. And behold, the word of the Lord came unto him, saying, This shall not be thine heir, but he that shall come forth out of thine own bowels shall be thine heir. And he brought him forth abroad, and said, Look now toward heaven, and tell the stars, thou be able to number them. And he said unto him, So shall thy seed be. And he believed in the Lord, and he counted it to him for righteousness. And he said unto him, I am the Lord that brought thee out of Ur of the Chaldees, to give thee this land to inherit it. And he said, Lord God, whereby shall I know that I shall inherit it? And he said unto him, Take me an heifer of 3 years old, and a she-goat of 3 years old, and a ram of 3 years old, and a turtle dove, and a young pigeon. And he took unto him all these, and divided them in the midst, and laid each piece one against another, but the birds divided he not. And when the fowls came down upon the carcasses, Abram drove them away. And when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram, and lo, an horror of great darkness fell upon him. And he said unto Abram, Know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterward they shall come out with great abundance. So let me pause there and explain a little bit of this. So God is essentially confirming, or he's going to be making the covenant with Abram. And he is, making sure that Abraham understands he's going to have a child. It's not going to come from someone else. And so this will be an interesting detail in some upcoming chapters. But for now, you're going to have what I'll say is a religious ritual being performed here, because a covenant is being made. And perhaps this was something done in the culture, but it's something that God sets up nonetheless. And so Abram goes into a deep sleep, and it says a horror of great darkness fell upon him. And this is probably going to represent two things. One is what's going to happen down in Egypt, the great affliction, but also it probably pictures the tribulation that Israel will go through in the far future. Okay, so he says his descendants are going to go down to Egypt for 400 years, but they're going to come out with great substance. So, verse 15, And thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace, thou shalt be buried in a good old age. But in the fourth generation they shall come hither again, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full. So let me stop there. So Abram is told that 4 generations later, the people will come out of Egypt. So the people that are in Egypt at that time will have a good idea of when they will be delivered, and it will take great faith to be ready for that. It also says the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full. So the people, the Amorites and probably others, they're pretty wicked, but God says he's letting it go a little longer. And when Israel comes out of Egypt, God brings them into the land, and the point is, I'm wiping these people out because of how wicked they are. All right, verse 17. And it came to pass that when the sun went down, and it was dark, behold, a smoking furnace and a burning lamp that passed between those pieces. So this was a tough thing to go study, but a burning lamp is an angel, a high-ranking angel. Verse 18. And the same day the Lord made a covenant with Abram, saying, Unto thy seed have I given this land from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates. The Kenites, and the Kenizzites, and the Cadmonites, and the Hittites, and the Perizzites, and the Rephaims, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Girgashites, and the Jebusites. So it seems kind of odd that the chapter ends that way, but he's basically naming 10 peoples. By the time the people come out of Egypt, 3 of them, the first 3, won't really exist anymore. And the last 3 will be mentioned again and again. One of them, the name will be changed, the Rephaims. But this is where you have to study and look for peoples and names and certain phrases that are used. But Abram is given a promise to have land from, I'll assume that the river of Egypt is the Nile, unto the Euphrates. And never has Israel had that much land. And they will eventually get it in the millennium. So that ends chapter 15.